Hi folks, this is Tabi and today I'll be going over some do's and don'ts and give you some tips on how to get ready for Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak. Yeah, so Sunbreak has been out for some time now on Switch and PC. But if you're playing exclusively on PlayStation or Xbox, then your first time to play Sunbreak comes with the expansions released later this month. Now, while there are a lot of guides out there to provide tips on getting ready for Sunbreak, a lot of them were made prior to the original Sunbreak's release. This guide will be based on my actual time moving to Sunbreak on both the Switch and PC, so it's basically going to be based on my real-world experience. In fact, I found my experience on PC to be especially useful, since I had to speedrun through base Rise instead of playing it thoroughly like I did on the Switch. So it actually made me realize what would have been nice to have when I started Sunbreak. On that note, let's get started. So the first do craft high-rank weapons from base Monster Hunter Rise. So this is an oldie but goodie for veterans of the Monster Hunter franchise. See, while you will need to use Master Rank weapons in Master Rank in Sunbreak, you will actually be able to upgrade the high rank weapons that you've already crafted by using Master Rank parts. This means those Nargacuga and Magnum Mallow weapons you have can actually get new life once more in Sunbreak. I mean heck, even that Bishaten Heavy Bogan from Rise, which is made from a minor monster, can actually be upgraded into one of the best Heavy Bogans in Sunbreak. This is great because it doesn't feel like you've wasted all that effort. Do note that even if your Rise weapons aren't the absolute best for endgame in Master Rank, largely because they get trumped by gear from new monsters that are exclusive to Sunbreak, they're still going to be super helpful as you climb your way up through Master Rank. And then by the way, for folks who want to rush through base Rise and get to Sunbreak right away, you can craft Defender weapons that help you speed up your quest progress. However, I mostly recommend this for veteran Monster Hunter players, because blazing through base Rise with overpowered gear might actually make your adjustment much tougher when you get to Master Rank. It's better to learn the monsters early if you're a new player, as opposed to just like blazing through low rank and high rank, and then just getting shellacked once you get to Master Rank because you haven't sort of learned the basics, so to speak. And then as far as don'ts, don't worry about crafting a bunch of armor sets. This is another long-time tip that veteran Monster Hunter players will be familiar with. That's because unlike weapons, high-rank armor can't be upgraded to Master Rank. This means you'll essentially be retiring all that cool armor that you've built up in base Rise. Do note that endgame armor in Rise should still be strong enough to get you through the early parts of Sunbreak, so it's not like they're a total waste, especially if you've put a lot of time into playing the base game and pretty much just got armor naturally. Eventually though, you will need to craft new Master Rank armor to deal with the harder hitting monsters in Sunbreak, so I wouldn't spend too much time trying to craft all sorts of endgame armor from base Rise, especially if you don't have enough time. At least enough time until Sunbreak comes out. Now if you do not get a chance to craft good endgame armor from base Rise, the good news is that the early sets in Sunbreak actually have a nice combination of skills. You don't even really need to mix and match armor set pieces during the early part of Sunbreak, because the skills from the early armor sets are actually that good. Yeah, the first time I was going through Sunbreak, I remember talking to a friend who was helping me review the game, and we were like surprised how nice the armor set combinations were as far as skills. And I'm talking about the full armor sets. Yeah, so regardless, don't feel like you need to craft various high rank sets just to get ready for Sunbreak. And then the third tip, do craft decorations. This is a lesson I especially learned while playing Sunbreak on the PC. See, when Sunbreak first came out, review copies were only available for PC. This meant I couldn't use my progress on the Switch, and so I had to start all over again. And then in order to get to Sunbreak as soon as possible, I actually ended up speedrunning the base game. And so one of the things I definitely missed once I reached Sunbreak on PC were my decos from my Switch version of the game. See, while Sunbreak adds new, better decos, these new decos actually require level 4 slots. And so with Master Rank armor pieces still using level 1, level 2, and level 3 slots, this means that you will still need to use those lower level decos even during Sunbreak's endgame. It's not like you're going to get just level 4 slots all the way. And you wouldn't want that anyway, because they're kind of hard to get, at least in the beginning. I mean, even level 1 decorations, such as stun jewels, are still useful against Sunbreak's tougher monsters, since they basically prevent you from getting stunned after being wombo comboed, and so they're a good way to fill up those extra level 1 slots on your Master Rank armor. Yeah, so stun jewels and even like health boost jewels. Yeah, so it was pretty tough starting Sunbreak without all my decos from the Switch game, because not having those tenderizer jewels and those critical jewels made it tougher to do like an affinity-based build, for example. In fact, I had to go back to base Rise on the PC and farm stuff again, just so I can get those decos. And you also still need some high rank materials if you want to craft some of the master rank stuff. So if you don't have enough resources, you'll still need to go back to the base game in order to gather that stuff up. Okay, and then tip number 4 is don't stress out about talismans. So getting a god talisman from base Rise is certainly nice, especially when you're starting out with Sunbreak. But that being said, you don't need to force yourself to constantly go against the RNG gods just to get a god charm in base Rise, even if you feel like your talisman collection might be a bit lacking. And I say that because Sunbreak actually introduces new mechanics for crafting talismans, and these new mechanics actually make it easier to start crafting them compared to base Rise. I mean, it's still kind of a pain to get really good talismans, even in Sunbreak, but at least you get a more efficient method for crafting them. And so because of that, I just wait to get to Sunbreak before doing some heavy-duty talisman building. And then the next tip is to collect resources and upgrade the Argosy. Yeah, so remember all those Mega Potions and Max Potions from base Rise? Good news, they're still useful in Sunbreak, so feel free to stock up on those. In fact, Argosy Captain Rondine continues to be an excellent resource in Sunbreak, so make sure that you have the Argosy fully upgraded with its full complement of ships, so you can farm items such as various bugs, plants, and shrooms much faster. In fact, Rondine will actually be your source of some new Sunbreak resources that can only be received through her, or at least through the Argosy, which has a shortcut in the new Sunbreak area, by the way, via your cat. Yeah, so it's always good to have the Argosy facility fully upgraded. Yeah, I'm actually one of those players that's constantly gathering on the way to a monster, because it makes my life a lot easier later when I need to craft something. I mean, even my niece has turned into like a mini-me, because when she sees like Altaroth chowing on mushrooms and then getting bigger, she'll actually stop and wait for them to get bigger, and then she'll just like take them down so she can like gather their materials for later. Then that way, you know, you don't have to like go out of your way to farm Altaroth or Bunahabra for insect materials. It's like the opposite of why do now what you can put off for later. Also, Zenny and Kamura points remain useful in Sunbreak, which requires even more money and Kamura points to get stuff done, so it's nice to have enough to get you through the initial part of the expansion. In fact, Gaijin Hunter's Lava Cavern Guide continues to be a great way to farm Zenny, and you can also use it for the Master Rank version of that map, which yields even more money because of the new Master Rank ores, so it's a good thing to be familiar with. And then if you feel that you might be short as far as Kamura points are concerned, you can also wait until Sunbreak to build that up if you want. In fact, I have a guide for farming Kamura points from the first new island in Sunbreak, which is actually a returning island from a previous game. And so that island can yield a ton of points pretty quickly. So if you're in a rush, you can just wait until you get to Sunbreak. And then as far as my last tip, don't stress out about finishing those base Rise event quests. Admittedly, one of the things I really missed from my Switch game when I moved to PC were my special layered armor from event quests. Since layered armor is cosmetic, that means you can still use them in Master Rank with no problems, so I actually missed having all that extra variety for my hunter's look. That being said, if you're short on time, I wouldn't stress out too much on polishing off all those event quests. You can actually just save them for later, and then come back once you have nice Master Rank gear equipped, so you can actually get them done much more easily. Anyway, there you go, my quick tips for getting ready for Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak. So what tips do you have for players to get ready for the expansion? As always, feel free to leave any thoughts or questions you may have in the comments section. Once again, this is Tabi, and thank you for watching.
Sorry, 行くぜ。